ask you to detail for the Commission the events relating to that by-election, starting from paragraph 20, please.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, my next interaction would be related to the Ward 28 Shaka Scroll by-election. And this is also in General Kunazi's testimony that he had related here in oral evidence at the Commission. Chair, there was a by-election that was underway in this particular ward. It is in the Shaka Scroll Mshlali area, where a candidate, Mr. known as Dushi, but his name is Vishnu Gopal, Governor, was a candidate standing for the election, by-elections in that particular ward. Chair, in 2024, during the national elections, national and provincial elections, Mr. Dushi Governor was quite instrumental in rallying support in that ward towards the ANC. And it is one of the very few wards that won significant votes during that election.
The ANC won.
It was an ANC ward, and he was in 2024 an ANC councillor. Then in 2025, he resigned from the ANC as a councillor, which prompted a by-election. So during this period, it meant that he resigned as a councillor from the municipality and, of course, from the ANC, and he then joined the Mkhonto Sizwe party. The candidate, Mr. Dushi Governor, in the previous election, as I indicated, over decades, he's been very, very well supported in that community. And in this by-election, he seemed to enjoy the similar support.
Now campaigning under the banner of the MK party.
That is correct, Chair. He is now campaigning under the banner of the MK party. Chair, during the campaigning period, there were quite a number of senior, very high-profile ANC officials would come and support the ANC candidate, which was in that area, trying to campaign for the ANC. One of them was Minister Mtono, and he also came out campaigning. I will deal with that campaigning part in a short while. I will start with where he, on the 31st of March 2025, after campaigning on the previous days, on the weekend, on the 31st of March, Minister Mtono went to the police station of SAPS Mshlali, and he then indicated to the station commander, Lieutenant Colonel Naika, that while he was on his campaign trail, he was taken to some people who complained extensively about the MK party candidate, Mr. Dushi Governor. And the complaints he had received from them was that the police is doing nothing and they are under the control of Mr. Dushi Governor, and that Mr. Dushi Governor and his family get away with committing any kind of atrocity they feel like, or crime.
Specific reference generally is made to case CAS 61/06/2021.
That is...
Yes, what was that case about?
That was a case of an housebreaking and theft case where he specifically told the station commander that he'll be returning to the police station in the afternoon at 1500 hours, and he wants the management to bring that docket and explain to him why Mr. Dushi Govender has not been arrested.
Who had laid a charge in respect of this matter, and who was the suspect?
Chair, in this particular case docket, a complainant was, it's in my notes, and I didn't put it in the statement. The notes are made of the meeting that the minister had. The complainant was a member of the public, and the suspect in this particular case docket was the son of Mr. Dushi Govender, and not Mr. Dushi Govender himself. So that was a housebreaking and theft case. So in the morning, basically, he tells the station commander, Minister says to the station commander, I'm coming back at 3 o'clock. Have your management ready. Bring this docket. I'm going to interview more people with complaints, and I will want you all to explain why you are doing nothing about these cases.
I do realize, of course, that the interaction was with Lieutenant Colonel Naika.
That's in the morning.
Yes. Did you ever get to understand why the minister was making all these inquiries?
Commissioner, I'm coming to that part of my statement where, after that conversation, Colonel Naika called me and indicated that what had transpired. She also sent me a message in relation to that. And then I was, at that time, in a meeting, an accountability session, case docket session with General Mkonazi, and as the normal protocol again, I informed the provincial commissioner that the station commander of Mhlali has called me to indicate the minister's visit, his conversation, and his intended revisit at 1500 hours. My discussion with General Konazi when it concluded was that I should go there and to the police station and join that meeting and not leave the junior level to be interacting with the minister in that fashion, which I did, Chairperson. I then proceeded to the police station, and it's where then I found the minister, Minister Mkunu, with a few of the ANC officials in the office of the station commander. All of them were clad in ANC regalia. They were clad in ANC regalia, and they were in the office of the station commissioner. I greeted the minister and his colleagues that were with him. I greeted the station commander and the management that was there, and I took a seat at that table. And then I indicated to the minister that...
when you say they were all clad in ANC regalia, does that include the minister?
That includes the minister, Chair. For ease of reference, in my annexure, there is a picture that was taken with the minister on that day outside the police station in that particular regalia.
To assist you, General, that picture is on page 6 of your annexure bundle. It's AG2.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, this picture, I must contextualize it. It wasn't a picture that was taken out of official. It was a request of the CPF chairperson that wanted the picture with the minister, and then the minister didn't want to be alone, so we joined the minister in that photo with that particular CPF deputy chairperson of the CPF in that picture.
Thank you, General. General, can I ask you to please continue your evidence from paragraph 25? At this point, you've explained to the Commission that the Minister had asked for a meeting at the station at 3 o'clock and requested that station management explain to him the ongoings with reference to CAS 61. Is that right?
That's correct, Chair. Chair, when I had arrived, as I indicated, I did see the minister, and I did now introduce to the minister that one will recall that my previous interaction with the minister was as a district commissioner of Ilembe on the previous incident. Now I had to introduce myself to the minister as the acting deputy provincial commissioner for crime detection. So I then introduced myself in my new acting capacity as to what brought me there. The station commander was, the acting station commander, Colonel Naika, was also in the room because the station commander was on vacation leave at the time. Also, then the acting district commissioner was also present or joined us a little later, actually, in the session. So Minister Mkono then indicated that they are just waiting for one gentleman to join them before they can start. And that gentleman was Mr. Sandeep Odram. He was also an ANC comrade. So after a few minutes has passed, I think the minister decided to start the meeting without him, which we did. And Mr. Odram subsequently joined while we were in the meeting. But the minister then starts to narrate that he went to different houses or community members, and in particular there were 3 different instances that he narrated complaints against the candidate that is standing for elections, Mr. Dushi Govender. The minister was of the opinion that the community has a sense of frustration that we are doing nothing about Mr. Dushi Govender and his son's behavior. My notes, as the minister was outlining it, I have made reflection on my notes, which is part of my bundle, which...
Let me assist you, General. Your notes, a typed version of your notes, my apologies, appears on page 4 of your annexure bundle. The handwritten version is AG1, beginning on page 1, but the typed version of that meeting would be on page 4.
Yes, Chair. So my handwritten version and my typed notes are there. So there was I will not mention the names in my notes for the sake of protection of those complainants in those matters, but there were persons that the minister referred to that were complaining about Mr. Dushi Govender, and they narrated certain cases also. Chair, at the end of this entire session with the minister and Mr. Sandeep were also narrating certain frustrations against this candidate, I then pointed to the minister that firstly, there's case 61, we gave him a feedback to say that in that case docket of 61, housebreaking, which the minister specifically asked for, the suspect is not Mr. Dushi Govender, it is his son. And it's not that we didn't arrest the son, we arrested the son in this matter. In this particular matter, there were other accused with the son that was arrested. And the matter was taken to court, and the prosecutor then declined to prosecute the son in this matter. It's because in the complainant's version of a statement, the complainant never saw the son, but heard voices, and she associated the voice with the son. So I cannot I don't know more than what was in the mind of the prosecutor, but that's the reasoning that was provided in the case docket. So that matter was withdrawn or declined to prosecute. So I gave the feedback to the minister on that particular docket, and the minister was then not happy with that. He says, why will the prosecutor decide in that particular way? There was also the same son who was charged for murder. And the context of the murder was where he drove his vehicle into somebody after an argument. And the court gave him a suspended sentence with community service. The minister then wanted to know why the court gave such a lenient sentence. And again, I responded to the minister that is prerogative of the judiciary. We cannot question the outcomes of hearings or trials and the sanctions and the verdicts. The court is the only place one can take one's recourse to. So the minister then indicated he will raise this issue with the Minister of Justice in his own interactions with him. I then indicated to the minister, in relation to the complaints that he was citing with the assistance of Mr. Odram, that we would really like to get to interview those particular persons, open cases if we need to, and get a report on or complaint if they are complaining about police inefficiency, so that one could assist in attending to it in a formal and constructive manner. The minister in that meeting agreed that Mr. Odram will provide that report to the station commander. I must say, Chair, to date, we don't have that report. And we've not been given access to the people that they were complaining about. Then, I also then wanted to indicate that during my interaction with the acting station commander, even prior to this meeting, on the date on which Minister Nkunu was campaigning, she did send me on text message, on WhatsApp, indicating to me that Mr. Odram took the minister to 3 specific places or to houses for people to complain about the candidate, Mr. Dushi Govender. So, my response to her was that if the minister asks you any questions, take note of that and indicate to the minister that we will respond appropriately to those concerns. At that time, it was concerns. So we'll report. And I didn't realize the minister was going to come the following day and then call a meeting. So we thought, I asked the station commander acting at that time to just take note of it, and then we will get to respond to that.
And General, just a question of clarification. If regard is had to your paragraph 28 of the witness statement at the bottom of page 8.
Yes.
That reference there to he in the first sentence. The minister inquired why he was given a suspended sentence for murder. That's a reference to who exactly?
I think, Chair, the minister was given an impression by Mr. Odram and the colleagues that were here with him that it was Mr. Dushi Govender that was charged for murder. And then I had to indicate to the minister that it was not Mr. Dushi Govender, it was the son. So the he I'm saying is, when I referred to this paragraph, by then I had already clarified to the minister, so I was just referring to the son at this point.
And so just to be clear, those complaints that you recorded in your notes at page 4 of your annexure bundle, those complaints in fact were related to alleged criminal conduct on the part of Govender Junior and not on the part of Dushi Govender. As
the Chair, yes, the complaints, to their understanding, it was against Dushi Govender and the sons, but when you go into it, you then realize it's not Mr. Dushi Govender, the candidate that was standing at the by-elections, it was against the sons.
Thank you, General.
Sorry, am I hearing you to refer to sons, plural now?
Mr. Dushi Govender has a few sons.
All right. I'm asking specifically because I thought throughout you were referring to just one son. Now
no, he has quite a few sons, problematic sons, Chair, very problematic sons. He has 3. Yeah, very, very problematic. I can say to you that because whilst Mr. Dushi Govender is not...
We should not get to any,
personal, yeah, and I'm not
any
going into
detail with regard to them being problematic.
Yeah. well, Chair, I say that with no contradiction simply because Mr. Govender himself calls me and he tells me to please come and lock his sons up. He calls me. So that's why I say it with no contradiction. He calls me to say he's now fed up of this one and it's fed up of that one. Please come and arrest him. So that's why I say it without contradiction.
And did you arrest them, General?
Chair, we did. Yes, we did. I sent a police van and we arrested his son. I did.
General, I'm trying to make sense of your paragraph 23 read with 26. You say in 23, the reason for the minister going to the police station was to inquire about the case involving Mr. Govender. And in 26, you say, in summary, the minister highlighted that he was on a campaign trail at Umhlali in Ward 28. So I just need to understand, what was the reason for the minister coming to the police station? And maybe if you can also explain for us the photo on page 7. You only referred to us to the one on page 6 of AG2. What is happening on the photo on page 7 of AG2?
Chair, the photo on the page 7 is a photo that was provided to me by Lieutenant Colonel Naika. She was physically shadowing the entourage with the SEPS members during that campaign trail on the roads. And this is a photograph where the minister was on a campaign trail. So this was on the weekend prior to this meeting where the minister was campaigning, where she sent me the photo to say the minister she was giving me updates operationally on what was happening in the area.
Just pause there. These people were not at the police station on the 31st of March?
No,
Okay.
Chair. Yeah. This one was on campaigning. The other picture is on the police station itself.
And the purpose for which the minister was at the police station on the 31st of March?
The minister came specifically to inquire why the station management is not taking decisive action against Mr. Dushi Govender and his family for criminal activities that they are committing in the area.
And he's doing this while he's on a campaign trail?
That is correct, Chairperson. Chair, interestingly enough, the one thing experience has taught me is that whether you say you're from the EFF or whether you say you're from the MK party, all of them are starting at the ANC. So when we had finished that meeting, the very same colleagues that was with the minister on the day in the room, I don't know what conversation and who, but the candidate himself, Mr. Dushi Govender, called me after that meeting and the minister had left. He said, I believe you have now been given instructions to arrest me. This is the candidate, Mr. Dushi Govender. I believe the minister has now given you an instruction to arrest me. And I indicated, no, I did not receive such an instruction to arrest you. We were having discussions about you and your family and your criminal behaviors and cases that might be here, but no instruction to arrest you at that meeting. And I said to Mr. Govender, and he said, well, are you going to be arresting me in any event? I said to him, no, I don't have a warrant of arrest for you. But if you commit a crime in the presence of a police officer, and if there's a case that you commit a crime now and there's evidence, I will come and arrest you. But for now, I don't have anything to arrest you for. So somebody told Mr. Govender that the minister had instructed us in the meeting and then he tells me, no, but the colleagues in that meeting, the comrades from there, told me that the minister told you. I said, no, look, you're not getting the right information. Yes, there was question about why you were not, you and your family have cases that are not being investigated, you are not arrested for those cases, but not to say we must come now and arrest you. So I didn't have an instruction like that.
General, could we turn to paragraphs 29 and 30 of your witness statement?
Perhaps before 30, Ms. Msasedi, let me just take you to paragraph 29, General. You say while the meeting was in session, Mr.
Sorry, Chair, which paragraph?
29.
29, okay.
Yes. While the meeting was in session, Mr. Odram did join the meeting. I explained to the minister that whilst we wanted to assist him, the difficulty was that it was unclear in what capacity he approached us. Did the minister respond to this comment?
He didn't respond directly to that, because the way I put it to the minister was that he was in regalia, he was in ANC shirts, and his colleagues are now taking him to places, and people are complaining to him because of his position as a minister. And now as a minister, he has that role and title that nobody can take from him. And I think his comrades have now put him in a predicament where he is now, they want to see him basically how he uses that position to unpack what they are getting complaints about. So he didn't respond to me directly on this particular matter, but it was a subtle way of me bringing it to the attention that it is a bit of a difficulty in the case, in this instance, as to having a sitting minister in an ANC regalia. Even ourselves, chairperson in the police, we, despite what preference you might have of a political party, because we are voters. Bottom line is we are voters. We go to vote. Whether you can say anything, we go vote. But in the fairness of exercising our duty, we do not put on shirts and show our interest and favor to a particular party, despite going to the balloting station, to the ballot paper and putting a cross next to a political party. But in discharging our duties and undertaking any authority given to us, we do not put regalia. So it was a bit a tricky situation for all of us, and I'm glad I was there to support the station commander on the day.
Back to paragraph 30.
Thank you, Chair. You took one of my questions, so I'll ask the second one. But General, just as a clarificatory point, is it correct that the subject matter of the minister's inquiries at that meeting of the 31st was Mr. Dushi Govender? It was not crime broadly or other criminal activities. It related primarily to Mr. Dushi Govender.
It related primarily to the candidate, and I have to say it without any contradiction. It related to the candidate, that Mr. Dushi Govender and his family, but specifically focused on Mr. Dushi Govender. And perhaps, Chair, it was a bit odd that one would take that extent of intervention at the police station. I said earlier on that Mr. Dushi Govender in that particular community enjoyed huge support from that community, and that reflected in the polls. So it was slightly just uncomfortable that somebody who had won the previous landslide elections, that the entire community is suddenly angry against him, that 3 people in the entire community would go to their houses and be interviewed to make a complaint about this candidate and talk about this candidate. And the cases that even with the candidate himself, what is reflected on record is that not a single case was after 2024. So meaning the candidate was up and firm and standing and correct and upright according to everybody's eyes up until 2025 when he changed floors, when he crossed the floor to another party. All this time his record was clean as far as anybody was concerned. So 3 people
according to the minister, that was because the police were doing nothing.
That is correct, Chair. According to the minister, that the police officers were doing nothing until we unpacked each and every case that the particular candidate was charged for previously and the outcomes of those cases. And there's no new cases. There was not a single new case that we had since the previous election against the candidate. So I felt it was a bit odd and mischievous that you'd go to 3 people's houses. Well, perhaps not the minister did it on his own. He was taken to them, to those houses by his colleagues, his comrades. And then from there, you then say that there's a problem with this candidate. And of course, again, in the by-election, it played out, and it made it came clear that the community is not angry with this person. They voted for him again, in a landslide victory again. So it was a bit of uncomfortable, and even as I sit here, it's extremely uncomfortable for me to give evidence of this nature against the minister in such a way, because one would have expected not to have had that meeting at the police station, irrespective of what pressure came from the colleagues from the ANC.
It does seem odd, though, that in 2025 March, the minister would go to a police station and ask why somebody has not been arrested for cases from 2016 and 2021.
That is correct.
I mean, why in 2025? Why did he not ask that in 2024 or 2023?
That is correct, Chair. I think, it's just an open book that everybody's asking the same questions, and the assumptions are as good as mine.
General, as I understand it, the significance of your referencing that or mentioning that the minister and the people with whom he was were wearing ANC regalia and T-shirts, the significance of it is he was not in the discharge of ministerial functions. He was campaigning. He was on the campaign trail for a candidate of the ANC. Am I correct in that understanding?
That is correct, Commissioner, and I think it's something that becomes difficult for us as officials to navigate. Now, I'm a general, and I had to navigate through that. I had to go to the assistance of a station commander.
Yes.
A constable would not navigate. He will comply.
Yes.
In an ordinary day.
Yes.
He will not navigate through that.
Yes.
So it becomes quite a bit of a challenge that sometimes office bearers on a political level put us through as government officials.
Yes. So in short, what you're saying is he was in ANC regalia carrying out campaigning and therefore ANC activities, and yet used the power of his ministerial office to get a meeting with the station commander and with the management of the station and to ask about dockets.
That's correct, Chair. But I must be also quite open-minded to the fact to say that if any political party came in regalia and they didn't have a designation of power on them, they could walk into a police station and complain about the candidate, and we would have given them the same attention in their regalia. The complexity here is that it's the minister.
Yes. Well, even with that scenario, would you, it being any other political party, would you bring the docket? As you say in paragraph 23, the minister had asked for a specific case docket to be brought in the afternoon. Would you share that with an ordinary member of the public, the contents of a docket, and discuss the specifics of a case that's in a docket?
I would not. I will summarize. I will not give them the detail that I ordinarily gave the minister. We gave him more detail of information. Chair, all this information on individuals in a private, these are private people.
Yes.
All this information we gave to the minister purely because he's the minister. Yes. If somebody walked in there, I would give them audience, but I will summarize it to tell them, I have looked into this docket. My answer to them would be, I've looked into this docket. Your basis, your argument does not stand. What I may advise you to do is take a recourse with the public prosecutor in this docket.
Yes.
But not with the police. I'm satisfied with the extent of investigation that was done and the outcome of the investigation, which took it to court. So your recourse would be with the prosecutor and the NPA. That's the answer I will give you as a normal walk-in. But because it's the minister, the portfolio of the candidate, the history, the background, the profile, it's not entitled to a walk-in. We gave it to the minister because of his level of authority. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, General.
Thank you, Commissioner. And General, perhaps in follow-up to the question from Commissioner Baloy, in paragraph 23, you indicate that on that same day, after the minister had made an initial inquiry, there was a gathering of station management and detectives to meet him at 3 o'clock that same day. So had it hypothetically been a walk-in who came to make inquiries about the nature of these criminal complaints, would a prompt gathering on the same day of senior station management and detectives have convened to provide this update? Or was that done so largely because of who was making the request?
Chair, this is totally at the instance of the minister, this meeting. It's not a planned meeting. There was no meeting planned with the management. The meeting was called at the instance of the minister.
Thank you, General. General, to tie up your evidence.
If I may. General, just in the light of this last conversation that you and I had, just to be clear, can a member of the public come to a station? Well, can, because it's humanly possible to do, but I'm just trying to understand about how things work. I walk into a station and ask, I want a meeting with managers, and would you concede to that if I ask for that?
Well, let's put it in this context here. If you want a meeting of that nature from a walk-in from the public where you want all the whole management, you will not get such a meeting. You may get an interaction with the investigator of that particular case, but you will not have the ability to order a meeting with the entire management in the afternoon just about your case. But you may get a feedback on your case that you are inquiring about.
Thank you, Commissioner. General, you were at paragraph 30. With reference to the last sentence in that paragraph, you indicate that upon conclusion of the meeting and having answered his questions, that is the minister's questions, you requested that the minister provide you with an official report on these complaints and details of the cases so that you can investigate and properly report back to the office. Are you able to please explain to the Commission what was the purpose of requesting this report? What did you seek to achieve with it in light of the fact that you had answered the questions posed by the minister at this stage?
Chair, my understanding was the minister, Mr. Odram, that was there, was a third party. They were relating versions and narrating stories. For us to establish whether the complainant is actually a complainant and the person is actually complaining, you have to get to that complainant, you have to get to that person. So we wanted the report with the full details, contact details, the names of the person, and I even suggested to them that they could even go with us, take us to those people. So that was the purpose of our requesting the report.
Thank you. General, if you then turn to paragraph 33 of your statement, that's a reference to the picture attached as Annexure AG2. We've already gone there.
That's correct,
Is that right?
Chair.
And at paragraph 34, you detail an interaction you had with Mr. Udram on the 27th of March. You see that?
That's correct.